Ever look outside and just see tons of people walking around? Or have you ever looked outside and seen hundreds of cars?
You'll never see it coming.
People inside, all doing different things, going to different places, and then you see animals, insects, all walking, climbing, driving, flying, running. Yeah, everyone and everything doing their own thing, their own way. So what makes everyone feel so special?
Hoping to find relief in
none
drug
more
ritual.
than the next.
He drank a soup made of a cactus called San Pedro. The brew causes hallucinations. Visions many Peruvians believe can change lives.
I started to sleep peacefully. I no longer had the nightmare. I no longer sweated at night. I slept normally.
In Peru, the only taboo against San Pedro is taking the drug on your own. Custom dictates a collective experience, guided by a shaman. The pilgrims have brought symbols of their problems.
This is the altar. These are objects that have energy for curing. And what they're taking out are personal things. Photographs, their perfumes, everyday objects that have energy for the curing.
What? The golden debate show. Live from Fever Region Port, like, comment, share, and download Golden Show, GoldenDebateShow, or themoneymob.com. Also check out the Golden Cuts and the Golden Reel.
This
now that's
was coming, but certainly controversial too. Australia's Senate has voted to scrap the country's tax on carbon emissions.
Why?
The abolition of the tax was one of the main pillars of Prime Minister Tony Abbott's election campaign last year. Australia is one of the world's biggest carbon emitters per head of
Because it's all about
population,
making money
and
with the
critics
carbon
say
tax. It
the
has nothing to
move
do
is a
with fucking no
backward step.
environmental repercussions whatsoever.
You voted to scrap the tax in September last year, and today the Parliament finally listened.
Everybody.
Today the tax that you voted to get rid of is finally gone. A useless, destructive tax which damaged jobs, which hurt families' cost of living, and which didn't actually help the environment, is finally gone.
The guy they call the world's second richest man,
here's a little
Mexican
clip from the
telecom
lip.
billionaire Carlos Slim, speaking at an annual business
Mexican
conference in
billionaire.
Central Paraguay,
What thinks their
made
workers
the
should
argument
work three,
that people
but they'll break
should
down
have
why.
a 3-day work week, and nobody's arguing back, are they? The CEO of the telecom Telemax, Carlos Slim, Gabriel, first of all, are you like ready to hit the links right now?
Yeah, we've been here for 2 hours already. It's about time to wind this down.
Yeah.
No, this is interesting from Carlos Slim, right? Because this is the tycoon of Telmex. He is one of the richest men in the world. He's built an empire.
He's worth about $80 billion.
$80 billion, and I highly doubt he's working a 3-day work week. So it's interesting. Is this charity, or is this something that he's been wrestling with for a long time?
It's interesting because he is saying that he wants his workers to work less to be happy. In fact, let me just tell you what he has said. He has said, with 3-day work week, we would have more time to relax for quality of life. Having 4 days off would be very important to generate new entertainment activities and other ways of being occupied.
What an interesting way to put that proposal, because his company is directly responsible for people's entertainment.
That's interesting.
So is
more
he just,
customers.
Is this a charitable proposal wrapped in a business opportunity?
You're very cynical, Gabriel. You don't think he just has an altruist?
You don't become the second richest man in the world by just being charitable.
That's true. I mean, it's really surprising because basically he's suggesting at this business conference that all these business leaders give their workers 3-day work weeks. The trade-off, though, is you have to work longer days and longer into your life. So a 60-year-old retirement is not, he's talking about retiring at 70 or 75.
Interesting. So it's just changing the math, but it really kind of adds up the same.
Yes, he's talking about changing the quality of life. I mean, the reality of it is, how many of you have a job where you're working 11 hours a day anyways, even though you're on a salary? and you're getting paid for 8.
I think a lot of people. Yeah. And this is interesting, though, because it does make me wonder, and we're very curious to know how you feel about this, is, would you rather work longer into your life, fewer days a week, but maybe more hours, if it gave you a more even control over your workflow? Maybe some people would take that proposal.
Yeah, that's assuming, though, that everybody is working, 8-hour days, 5 days a week. And, this is not what's happening in the modern world, especially since
3 years
the crash of 2008.
So it's getting in with a little rubber man. Very energetic, but open minds, not empty ones.
He had
very
absolutely
controversial. Golden Debate Show,
zero,
Golden Show, or the Monday
nothing. But yet, he had everything. And what I want to say to you is that I'm praying that the Lord will take you there. I'm praying that God will put you in, and his name is Jesus, by the way. He is the Lord. I'm praying that he will put you in a position where you have nothing. And I don't want to be talking about this all the time. The people think, well, man, what's wrong with you? You're talking about that prison experience. But when I went to prison, everybody, they issue you everything. They give you clothes that you have to wear, boots, shoes, socks, toothbrush. Then after you can go out and buy some stuff, right? But Jesus had nothing. He had nothing. And not only that, but he depended on nothing. And then the lesson he taught his disciples was, don't depend on anything in this world except your Father who is in heaven. That's the only thing you are to depend upon. And I can show you this. In Matthew's Gospel chapter 10, he sent them out to preach. In Luke's Gospel chapter 10, he sent them out to preach and told them, don't take any money, don't take any shoes, don't take any coats, don't take any staves, don't make any hotel reservation, don't make any friends. Just go and preach.
Hello, freak bitches.
Joe Rogan Experience.
It is what it was. Just like
Rogan
any other problem that people go back
to.
to. I mean, at some point, it's up to you to release yourself from that obligation to get upset or feel bad about something that didn't go right in the past, and
that's a huge point, because people define themselves by the past instead of thinking about who they are now. Instead of they still look back at a mistake they made and don't just get past that mistake, grow and learn, but dwell on it. I think it defines them.
It's the worst thing. I met some guys in a band. He's a singer. I've only met him twice, 2 different times, years later. Both times he started telling me about this story about what happened to him when he was in this. And I'm thinking, this poor guy has gone on all these years, and he's still focused on the worst situation that he ever had to live through.
Yeah.
And he's so attached to it.
Well, some guys get one breakup and they're done. Some guys, one breakup in their 20s will tank them for a decade. I've met guys like that. I came out here with Sally, and, she fucking fell in love with her trainer, and... Dude.
Sally still?
Move on.
What is that?
10 fucking years ago.
Oh.
Bro, it changed my life, bro. But I tell you, I was so disappointed. I can't trust women anymore. You stupid fuck.
Just don't make
what if you got mugged by one person, you done trusting people?
Exactly. I mean,
one person was a murderer. Let's not trust anybody.
Yeah.
I heard about Ted Bundy. I'm not trusting people anymore. Oh, okay, great.
I'm not sleeping tonight.
Jesus Christ. There's definitely pitfalls in life. You're going to run into them. We all are. No, you can learn and grow if you survive.
You pick yourself up, you dust the dust off, and then you start going. Yeah. You don't let this stuff... Don't let it beat you down.
It's also directly proportionate to the amount of hardships that people face in life, their ability to face hardships. And there's a lot of folks that live life on a cushy cloud of marshmallows and bullshit, and then one day something goes wrong. And, that's why spoiled kids are so sad. Like a spoiled young boy is one of the saddest things ever. A young boy that becomes a man and can't take care of himself, and his dad has to keep on rescuing him. His dad has to keep on bailing him out of situations and giving him money. I've met guys like that, and that is a crippling affliction when they don't have the character themselves to be able to get by in life. They constantly need someone to help them and bail them out. Even as a grown man, I've met guys in their 40s that still need help from their parents. I'm like, what the fuck, man? You're never going to get it right, because somewhere along the line they didn't face enough of the adversity to realize that there's sometimes you just got to get up and get shit done. There's sometimes where you have to fucking pull yourself up and you have to push forward even if you want to stay in bed. And if you don't do that, and you just keep calling on your daddy, and your daddy keeps rescuing you, you never develop those tools. You never develop that ability to recognize what you're doing wrong with your life. Because you're soft, you got a cushiony, you got a safety net for your safety net. I have this friend, and she has this friend that she's been friends with for decades, and this poor fuck, his family's super, super, super wealthy, like unbelievable wealthy, billions of dollars. And he had, not only did he had a trust fund and a backup trust fund. So he blew through the trust fund, and then he blew through the backup trust fund. Real estate investments and just disastrous business ventures, no character, no discipline, no ability to stick it out, but incredible amount of resources. He had millions and millions of dollars, just pissed it all away. Didn't understand it, completely depressed. And one day he said to her, he said, because she has children as well and she has sons. He said to her, he goes, whatever you do, do not give your kids money. Don't give them a fucking penny. He goes, especially your boys. Don't give them a penny. That ruined me. Don't give him money. And I was like, wow, that's deep shit. To be a man like in your late 40s looking back at your life, this disaster wreckage that you've put forth with the millions you've blown. And now he has like a retail job. His parents fucking abandoned him. I mean, you look at that and you go, whoa, this is wild shit, man. This guy's just still struggling from the way he was developed, from the tools that were instilled in him at childhood and in adolescence. And having that safety net just provided him with a way to stay in bed, kept him weak.
Never developed character.
Yeah.
Or
you have an opportunity. Every time things go wrong, every time things feel terrible, you have an opportunity to learn from whatever makes you feel terrible and never allow it to happen again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's
push forward.
Don't do it again.
Yeah.
Learn from your mistakes. We all make them.
That's where meditation comes
one
in.
Of those
recognizing that and solidifying it in your head. I believe meditation in the tank, which is a more magnified form of meditation. I think it's more intense. And I think that you could really get something out of that. If with those sort of ideas in your mind about constant, consistent improvement, and that's the only thing that you'll allow from yourself is to maintain a certain standard, then consistently try to improve. And do that, and you'll be a happier person.
That's an amazing concept there to become a part of, to where you're involved in the construction of your own character.
Yes.
Through your own efforts and your own evaluation, and then to make the right steps and make the right decisions that to become even stronger.
This is not what I do.
Right. You have to find a stud to hang up a TV.
And it's the TV that we got from David Foley. It's
a 50-inch 4K.
Yeah, it's a big TV. So I got to hang it up.
It's not a big heavy one though. If you got some of these sets are really heavy.
But you got to do this. You got to make it straight, and of course,
Did you buy one of those bracket things that holds the TV?
Yeah, I got the bracket thing and everything.
And moves it around. So you move it around.
I got all that. And there's actual cable hole in the wall so you won't have any cables dropping.
Nice.
Yeah. And but I'm not going to do this. So and then Mickey's on my case. She's like, okay, everything's done now except for the TV. I'm like, oh shit, yeah. So what do?
I put it on a table.
No, I figured I'd call Geek Squad.
Oh God!
But I Google Geek Squad Austin, and up pops Geekatoo.
What?
Yeah, these guys have SEO'd Geek Squad. Geekatoo, like cockatoo.
SEO'd the Geek Squad.
Yeah, so you get and if you Google Geek Squad, it says Geekatoo 75% cheaper than Geek Squad. I'm like, yeah,
nice,
yeah. And a dude named Ben came by, and it was like $100 or something. And he spent some time, did everything perfect. Geekatoo, never heard of him. It's a stupid name.
Well,
but I like the whole SEO thing where I went for Geek Squad and also I was talking to the guy. His name is Chris Beard, and oh yeah, he had a beard. And he's talking about how Geek Squad pays the guys $12 an hour, but Geekatoo, he says 90% of the fee comes to the guy who's doing the work, and they basically just paying like a commission.
Oh, the Uber of
yes. And he brought his little helper and everything, so it was cool. I was very impressed. And that's your tech news. We had no other news. Now, I have to give you some mad-ass props.
Uh-oh. This is weird.
Oh, hold on a second. Mickey, that's not yet. She's mad now because she thinks I did her voice and it sucked.
When did you do her voice?
Just a minute ago, apparently. Like I said, honey, we have to do the TV. All right.
It wasn't that bad.
I didn't think so either.
Mimi gets really irked when I do her voice.
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't I say she looked hot in her black hot pants, and now I don't get any.
Yeah,
thanks,
but that's
honey.
just sexist.
Yeah, I should have got you, sexist pig. Mad props for you, my friend. You called it. You called it early. You called it loud. You called it correctly. You are on. You are the Mac Daddy, the bomb diggity of calling Pocahontas Liz Warren as the candidate.
Holy
crap!
There's other guys. They look like
holy
know.
Crap.
This don't make no sense to me. Everybody.
I got 2 clips here, which are long of nature, but oh my God, John, how did you know this? Are you on some committee or something?
I'm on the picking committee.
Are you on some secret ballot committee?
No, it was. I saw it walking down Broadway.
So, have you heard the Run Liz?
By the way, I've been very good at picking candidates.
You are extremely.
I picked Sarah Palin, and before I ever heard her talk, which was the mistake.
You did. You did.
But I still picked her.
Have you seen or heard the Run Liz Run song?
Oh no.
Americans want our next president to be a woman. Let's vote for jobs. Hey, babies, looking at you, Senator Elizabeth Warren. The planet is warming and the power is shifting. We need a leader who won't stand for all the Wall Street bullshit.
We got Hillary running. We got Elizabeth Warren running. Will the women become president? For all the fucking same. Don't you people get it? No matter their race, religion, their fucking culture, nothing. Even whether they're American citizens. Remember that?
Financialization insanity that's hurting average people.
Here's Tom Hartman,
destroying the American dream,
where he makes it sound like he's on our side.
Into one giant casino.
This is about
one of the most
banks.
startling trends to come out of the wreckage of the
2007-2008
2008 financial crisis is the explosion of Wall Street firms buying up and renting out property all across the country. The housing glut and foreclosure crisis that was, for most Americans, the symbol of the devastation caused by the worst economic downturn of our lifetimes was, for Wall Street, a wonderful business opportunity. A study by the Center for American Progress estimates that in the almost 6 years since the crash, institutional investors, read big banks and hedge funds, have bought approximately 200,000 single-family homes at bargain prices and converted them into rental houses. Amazingly, the New York City-based hedge fund, the Blackstone Group, has focused so much of its resources on the real estate business that it is now the single largest landlord in our entire country. Now, I've known many people over the years who've decided to become landlords. It's a smart financial decision, the kind that middle-class people used to make all the time to help boost their income. Renting out your first or second home is a great way to earn some extra money, help pay the mortgage, even make a living once you retire and no longer take home a paycheck. But making a few extra bucks is not why big banks and hedge funds are buying up thousands of houses or kicking people out of their houses and just taking them every year. The real reason why they're so enthusiastic about throwing people out of their houses and flipping those houses into rental properties is that they want to repackage those properties and their rent payments into fancy financial products. Remember, derivatives that they can then sell to investors. In other words, being a landlord is just another way for Blackstone and companies like it to make money with money, to create derivatives. These companies don't produce anything at all. They don't add anything to our economy. They don't help any middle-class families or anything.
Let's talk more about the Hobby Lobby Supreme Court decision. Throughout the conversation around the Hobby Lobby decision, there's been opposition to birth control, to access to birth control from the religious right, premised on the idea that if you have access to birth control, you're essentially encouraging promiscuity and risky sexual behavior, and that that's a bad thing, and thus making birth control not available will help to limit that type of behavior. A lot of right-wing groups actually filed amicus briefs in favor of Hobby Lobby by arguing exactly that point, saying women should not be able to have consequence-free sex. So where does this idea come from? I initially was thinking, well, this does fit into this strict father morality idea, right? Which is, it should not be consequence-free. Birth control prevents strict father. It's more of a nurturing father, which is we have a method for you to be able to do what you want, but not face the strict consequences. Conversely, not having birth control it falls under strict father morality. If you have sex, you are more likely to get pregnant, and then you will have to have that baby, and you will be punished for your bad action. You're having sex that you didn't mean to be procreative. There's new research, though, which now has been published in the Archives of Sexual Behavior, which asked people about the attitude towards whether or not women should be able to have consequence-free sex, or the way they put it was, is it okay for a man and a woman who recently met to just have sex with each other because they want to, not because they plan on being in a long-term relationship.
Number 25.
The best for them and
At
their
birth,
family.
Spartan infants were examined for physical deformities before a council, and those who did not pass the inspection were left to die in the wilderness.
Top 25 list.
Number 24. The infant would usually die of exposure to the elements, although occasionally it might be rescued by strangers. Number 23. The children that mated did not have it easy, though. To make them strong, infants were given baths and wine rather than water. Number 22. They were also ignored when they cried and taught to never fear darkness or solitude. Number 21. At age 7, Spartan boys were taken from their parents' home and began the Agog, a state-sponsored program meant to turn them into fearless fighting machines and responsible citizens. Number 20. Housed in communal barracks, the young soldiers were taught about warfare, hunting, and athletics. Number 19. At age 12, everything was taken from them except for one red cloak. They were then forced to sleep outside in the cold. Number 18. Food was intentionally kept scarce, and the boys were even encouraged to steal. Number 17. If they were caught, however, they were flogged severely. Number 16. Just as all Spartan men were expected to be skilled soldiers, all Spartan women were expected to give birth to Spartan men that would eventually be those skilled soldiers. Number 15. Therefore, just as the boys went through training in military tactics and fighting, girls went through their own training regimen of athletics and mental preparation to make them strong for motherhood. As it was said, only Spartan women could give birth to Spartan men. Number 14. Unlike the boys, the girls were allowed to stay with their parents. Number 13. Many subjects taught in the Agog were normal subjects like writing and reading, but as you have already seen, there was a vicious aspect to the training. Number 12. Hazing and fighting were encouraged among the boys. Number 11. The Agog was designed to make them immune to cold, hunger, and pain, both mental and physical. Number 10. Boys who showed any cowardice or fear were ridiculed and taunted. Number 9. The only profession a Spartan boy could hope for was to be a soldier. Number 8. In fact, their military duty could last until the age of 60. Number 7. Sparta's manufacturing and agriculture were left to lower classes and foreigners, of which many were slaves. Number 6. One of the most brutal events awaiting Spartan youths was the contest of endurance in which the boys were beaten and flogged to test their resistance
Beatle music
to pain.
transformations. Music fans and critics know that the music of the Beatles underwent a dramatic transformation in just a few years, but until now there hasn't been a scientific way to measure the progression that can now change. The computer scientists at Lawrence Technical University have developed an artificial intelligence algorithm that can analyze and compare musical styles, enabling research into the musical progression of the Beatles. Assistant Professor Leor Shamir and graduate student Joe George and previously developed audio analysis technology to study the vocal communication of whales, and they expanded the algorithm to analyze the albums of the Beatles and other well-known bands such as Queen, U2, ABBA, and Tears for Fears. The study, published in the August issue of the Journal of Pattern Recognized Letters, demonstrates scientifically that the structure of the Beatles' music changes progressively from one album to the next. The algorithm works by first converting each song to a spectrogram, a visual representation of the audio content. That turns an audio analysis task into an image analysis problem, which is solved by applying comprehensive algorithms that turn each music spectrogram into a set of almost 3,000 numeric descriptors reflecting visual aspects such as texture, shape, and statistical distribution of the pixels. Pattern recognition and statistical methods are then used to detect and quantify the similarities between different pieces of the music. In popular music, albums are widely considered milestones in the stylistic development of music. Artists and these collection of songs provide a convenient unit for establishing measurements to quantify a band's progression. LTU study analysis 11 songs from each of the 13 Beatles studio albums released in Great Britain and quantified the similarities between each song and the others in the study. The results for the individual songs were then used to compare the similarities between the albums. The automatic placement of the albums by the algorithm was in agreement with the chronological order of the recording of each album, starting with the Beatles' first album, Please Please Me, and followed by the subsequent albums. The automatic association of these albums demonstrated that the computer algorithm determined that the songs on the first album were more like the group of songs on the second album and least like the songs on the last album, Abbey Road. The algorithm then placed the albums Help and Rubber Soul, followed by Revolver, Sgt. Lonely Pepper's Heart. It Could Be was the last album released by the Beatles, but the algorithm correctly identified those songs as having been recorded earlier on the songs on Abbey Road. People who are not Beatles fans normally can't tell that Help was recorded before Rubber Soul, but the algorithm can. So I find that pretty interesting and pretty cool. So let's see what else I can strum on. This one kind of uniquely ties in. Ancient Sumerian song recreated from 3,400-year-old cruciform tablets. I hope they talk about Crippy Crip. Scholars from the University of California at Berkeley have brought to life that the ancient sounds of Mesopotamia, followed by the description and study of a set of ancient cruciform texts that date back to 3,400 years according to a report on WSMU. The result is the recreation of music unheard for thousands of years. And the CD titled Sounds from the Silence is now available to the public. And an alternative interpolation could be listened to here. Read more. So that's gangster that they're not going to let me pull up the sound, but pretty interesting to see what it would sound like. This solar car just set a new world or land speed record. Yes, solar car. And the picture of it is pretty cool. It has solar panels all over. It looks very futuristic. SunSwift I solar-powered car broke a 26-year-old land speed record for electronic vehicles on Wednesday at the Australian Automotive Research Centre in Victoria. While the record still has to be ratified by the Federation, it would make Eve, once I guess is what they're calling the car, the fastest electronic car to ever compete in a 500 kilometer set distance course by a significant margin. Gizmodo reported the previous record set in 1988 was an average speed of 73 kilometers per hour. The SunSwift Eve reaches 100 kilometers per hour average over the 500 km course. SunSwift Eve, designed and built by students at the University of New South Wales, seeks to overcome the traditional obstacles that have impeded solar-powered cars, namely offering both speed and range in the same vehicle. There are many solar cars out there with a long range and many other solar cars capable of even higher speeds, Bob Ireland, business team leader at SunSwift, told International Business. However, we are trying to do something groundbreaking and overcome both. The zero-emission solar and battery storage electronic vehicle is capable of covering 800 kilometers on a single charge and has a top speed of 140 kilometers per hour, 87 miles per hour. The car's solar panels have an 800-watt output, and when the sun isn't shining, Eve relies on his battery pack, reducing drivers' range anxiety. The car's motor, supplied by Australian National Science Agency CSIRO, operates at 97% efficiency, meaning Eve consumes as much power as a kitchen toaster. According to IB Times, for Wednesday's record attempt, the solar panels on the roof and hood were used to charge the battery, but were covered for the actual run, as the attempt had to be completed on a single charge. While the SunSwift Eve is not fully road legal, the team believes that it isn't far to reach. That's pretty cool, everybody. 4 billion-year-old primordial soup chemistry in cells today. Parts of the primordial soup in which life arose have been maintained in our cells today, according to scientists at the University of East Anglia. Research published today in the Journal of Biological Chemistry reveals how cells in plants, yeast, and very likely also in mammals,
the obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens, and because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night. This station and hundreds of other radio and TV stations throughout this part of the country are pooling their resources through an emergency network hookup to keep you informed of all developments.
The ghost and the darkness have come.
comment, share, and download as much as you possibly can.
Thoughts and opinions are
Yes. Peace, aloha, reverenti, hasta the vista, hasta luego, ciao. Sayonara, good golden journeys, and see you on the flippity flip.
There's other guys on there.
We out from feeling region one like that, golden on them. Remember to put on your blocker shades for these vampires and keep it golden. They like, comment, share, and download everybody. I'm done streaming and streaming and like that.
Talking like this, like that, all day, in your hood, golden shows, golden roads, strobe lights, laser lights, look at my gold, tripping tonight, apple shit, one more, talking like this, talking like that, we're talking, golden debate show, golden debate show, we like this, we're talking hood, draw the line, MC better talk with big chat, you know we're coming out the best, golden show, golden robes, golden boss, golden strokes, golden what?
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
He's a jackass.